Hello, everyone. Welcome to the News Browse News broadcast. According to a report by Liberty Times, the United States Senate Foreign Relations Committee has passed the Taiwan Symbols of Sovereignty Act, Taiwan AOSA Act, with bipartisan support. Drafted by Republican Senator Ted Cruz, the bill aims to overturn a 2015 U.S. State Department guideline that restricted Taiwanese diplomatic and military personnel from displaying symbols of their country's sovereignty while on official duty in the United States. Under the new legislation, Taiwanese officials and military personnel would be permitted to display the Republic of China, Taiwan flag, and wear their military uniforms within U.S. borders. Alongside this bill, the committee also passed the Falun Gong and Victims of Forced Organ Harvesting Protection Act, which targets the state-sanctioned forced organ harvesting industry in China and imposes sanctions on those involved. While some lawmakers had previously raised concerns about provoking Beijing, leading to temporary delays, the Foreign Relations Panel successfully advanced the bill after several months of deliberation. Senator Cruz has urged the full Senate to quickly schedule a vote to formally pass these two critical national security bills. According to a report by the Liberty Times, the Moscow Refinery, the largest fuel supplier in the Moscow region, has been severely damaged after being struck twice this month by Ukrainian long-range drones. Industry sources indicate that the refinery will be forced to shut down for at least 6 months, meaning it will remain non-operational for the rest of the year. This prolonged closure poses a major challenge to Russia's efforts to resolve its nationwide fuel shortage. Ukraine has increasingly targeted Russia's energy infrastructure with long-range drones, paralyzing a significant portion of Russia's refining capacity. This has led to petroleum product shortages, soaring fuel prices, and long lines at gas stations across the country. In 2024, the Moscow refinery processed 11.6 million metric tons of crude oil, producing 2.9 million tons of gasoline and 3.2 million tons of diesel. In response to the crisis, Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak stated that Moscow is considering a ban on diesel exports. Additionally, authorities are looking into importing fuel to counter the shortage, particularly in Crimea, where retail gasoline sales to the general public have already been suspended. According to Al Jazeera, Ukrainian strikes targeting Russian-occupied Crimea have knocked out power in Sevastopol, the peninsula's largest city. Kyiv has intensified its military operations against the region, which was annexed by Moscow in 2014. Local Moscow-installed Governor Mikhail Razvozhayev confirmed that the attacks hit key energy infrastructure, leaving several districts without electricity during high summer temperatures. The city was forced to suspend trolleybus services, and parents were advised to keep their children at home. The strikes are part of a broader Ukrainian campaign to isolate the peninsula. Kyiv has recently targeted railway bridges, power stations, oil refineries, and fuel depots, prompting the regional administration to halt public fuel sales. While Ukrainian defense officials state that they are effectively isolating Crimea using drones, Russian forces claim to have destroyed over 300 Ukrainian drones overnight. Meanwhile, the conflict continues to take a civilian toll on both sides, with drone attacks claiming lives in Russian border regions and Ukrainian areas alike, as international diplomatic efforts to end the war remain largely frozen. According to a UPI report based on government data, the number of babies born in South Korea in April surged by 18% year-on-year to reach 24,521. This represents the highest figure for any April in 7 years. Over the first 4 months of the year, total births reached 99,534, marking a 15.5% increase compared to the same period last year. Consequently, the country's total fertility rate rose to 0.93. Experts attribute this upward trend in childbirths, which began in July 2024, to a rise in marriages and a shifting, more positive social perception of having children. In April alone, marriages increased by 9% to 20,622, the highest level recorded for the month since 2016. However, despite these encouraging gains, South Korea's birth rate remains significantly below the 2.1 threshold required to maintain a stable population. Furthermore, with 28,405 deaths recorded in April, the nation still experienced a natural population decline of 3,884. According to CNBC, a subcommittee of the U.S. House Energy and Commerce Committee is set to debate and vote on the Ratepayer Protection Act. The bipartisan bill aims to shift the financial burden of upgrading the country's electrical grid from ordinary consumers to the tech giants building energy-intensive artificial intelligence data centers. The proposed legislation would direct state utility regulators to consider implementing a large load standard. This standard would require major data center developers, such as Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and xAI, to fund the power generation and transmission infrastructure necessary to support their facilities. The bill addresses mounting public concern over data centers driving up electricity rates for families and local businesses. Proponents argue that while AI innovation benefits society, ordinary ratepayers should not have to subsidize the infrastructure needed to power it. Although a number of major tech firms signed a voluntary ratepayer protection pledge with the White House, the act would codify these cost-sharing practices into law. However, the bill still faces a lengthy legislative path, requiring approval from the full committee, the House, and the Senate before it can be signed by the President. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.